All right, thank you very much. Afternoon. My name is Jayson Marwaha. Yeah, I'll be sharing our brief analysis on outcomes and predictors of weight loss after sleeve to bypass conversion. No disclosures. So to start with some brief background, as others have acknowledged, the sort of generally accepted benchmark for what constitutes failure or poor outcome from sleeve gastrectomy as it relates specifically to weight loss is less than 50% excess weight loss or weight regain after the sleeve gastrectomy. And while the sleeve gastrectomy has excellent long-term outcomes, estimates from some smaller studies have shown that around 12% of patients who have a sleeve gastrectomy will undergo a second operation, specifically for weight loss. Of course, the all-cause reoperation rate is slightly higher. The kinds of reoperations that these patients undergo varies widely, and includes many of the ones that have been mentioned today already: duodenal switch, SADE, et cetera, and also includes conversion to Roux-en-Y gastric bypass, which there isn't much long-term data on. So some small studies have shown a very highly variable 1-year excess weight loss after conversion to Roux-en-Y gastric bypass, anywhere from as low as 30% to as high as 70%. And one excellent recent study from Dr. Abbas and Dr. Ketan's group from UH last year that followed 36 patients for 2 years found an excess weight loss of 31% in these patients who underwent a conversion to Roux-en-Y gastric bypass. And so our goal was to also measure excess weight loss in these patients at 1 year and 2 years, and then also to identify factors that might predict how successful this conversion to Roux-en-Y gastric bypass might be. So we conducted a retrospective cohort study from 2017 to 2023 at a single institution. In order to be included in our cohort, patients had to have a history of a sleeve gastrectomy and also undergo a conversion to Roux-en-Y gastric bypass during the study period, specifically for the purpose of weight loss being the primary indication. And we followed these patients for 2 years to measure their excess weight loss at 1 year and 2 year, which are two primary outcomes. And potential predictors of excess weight loss that we included were mainly patient-specific factors like BMI at the time of their conversion, any history of bariatric surgery prior to their sleeve gastrectomy, how much weight they lost from their sleeve gastrectomy, and time interval from sleeve gastrectomy to conversion. And we adjusted our analysis for age and race and comorbidities. So there were 150 total patients in our cohort, 99 of which we had 1 year follow-up data on after their conversion, and 63 of which we had 2 year data on our conversion. 2 year data on following their conversion. These are their baseline characteristics, and the most important thing to point out here is that 1 year after their conversion to Roux-en-Y gastric bypass, the mean excess weight loss was 40.2%, and at 2 years, it was 37.4%. And then we also split our cohort into those with above average 2 year excess weight loss and below average 2 year excess weight loss. And demographics were similar between the groups, as was the time interval, which was about 5 years. But the BMI and the excess weight loss from the sleeve gastrectomy were both slightly higher in the group with the below average or suboptimal conversion outcome. And so what predicts below average 1 year excess weight loss? Again, as I mentioned, the mean excess weight loss for the entire cohort at 1 year was 40%. And we identified two significant predictors. One was excess weight loss after the patient's initial sleeve. So as the excess weight loss from their sleeve rose, the amount that they lost from their conversion decreased. And specifically, the significant cutoff that we found was 40% or greater for sleeve. So if they experienced that degree of excess weight loss from their sleeve, that predicted a below average conversion outcome. And then the other predictor of below average conversion outcome was a high BMI at the time of conversion, specifically a BMI greater than 40 predicted a below average conversion outcome. At 2 years, the mean excess weight loss was 37%, as I mentioned earlier. The only significant predictor we found of 2 year excess weight loss was once again BMI at the time of conversion. As you can see, the excess weight loss from sleeve gastrectomy lost its significance at 2 years. And it's also important to note here that the factors that did not predict the outcome of conversion were if the patient experienced any weight regain, specifically after their sleeve, the time interval, and if the patient had any prior bariatric surgery prior to their sleeve gastrectomy. And so the three main takeaways we wanted to briefly highlight from this analysis is firstly that the typical expected excess weight loss for sleeve to bypass conversion is lower than that 50% benchmark of success for index bariatric operations. The second is that the main predictors of below average conversion outcome in our analysis were high excess weight loss from the sleeve and high BMI at the time of conversion. And then finally, many variables we suspected might predict conversion outcome, including weight regain and time interval between procedures, actually didn't, which might mean that these things should play a relatively smaller role in the decision-making around whether sleeve to bypass conversion is appropriate for someone. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions from the audience? I was wondering if you think that some of the patient, the reason why you don't see an even greater weight loss in these patients is because they have reached a certain set point. Is there other variables that we're not addressing, such as, the changes in the pathways of weight regain?
I completely agree. I think that that's an excellent point, and I think our hypothesis kind of aligns with that point as well, which is simply that there's some probably physiologic unmeasured difference perhaps in these patients that predisposes them to these types of outcomes, regardless of the procedure that they undergo or the revisional procedure that they undergo, that presumably is not being captured. Something physiologic about them that is making them lose weight suboptimally, both from their sleeve and also from their bypass. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, one more question.
No, this
Dr. Demetrius.
No, we have to go.
Okay. All right. Thanks, everybody. Great session. I thought you were asking.